Can I still be friends with my ex?
You see, friendship, if you know anything about the levels of love, right? We know God's love is what I speak about. Friendships, nobody wants to stay in the friendship zone. Let me make that clear.
Forever.
Forever. The idea of friendships is to transit to family.
Mm.
And I want to explain this very carefully. That's why if you love somebody, like you have a friend and you love them, phileo, you love somebody like, oh, you're my sister from another mother.
Mother.
Why did you transit them into family? Why? Because the friends is a place where there's no contract between us. There's no bond between us. There's nothing holding us. That's why you can just let go of a friend at any point in time. But when you say somebody is a bond, you're like my sister. You just transited them by blood. That's why when you sleep with somebody, you are bonded by blood.
Mm.
You move to a place which is not family, but wanting to be family. Are we together? Now, because you're there, it is hard to come backwards.
Mm.
And this is it's hard to go back to that first zone. But we have this illusion that it's going to end and it's normal. We can be friends. Let me make it clear to somebody. Just because you have a certain propensity and understand something does not mean you can control somebody's ulterior motive. If me, I think an ex-girlfriend, right? I think I could be friends with them and they tell me they can be friends with me, does not mean I get to control their ulterior motive. So the best advice we give is to have a distance because you can't control somebody's emotions. You can only control your emotions. And just because you feel magnified, just because maybe you have a new guy or a new girl and they don't or they do, does not mean you don't know if they still have the feelings towards you. And the best thing to do is not to incite something that you can control. And people don't say these things because they don't know what happens in the bond. That's why the word will tell you that sleeping causes people to bond together, right? But that's
Right.
like what I'm going to go to. Now, the second part about this is your inability of knowing how it actually deters your new relationship because that becomes a safety net system.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And like I said, you can't control people's ulterior motives. If you take your new problems to your ex problem, your ex problem is always going to keep you in the past because the mind as a human being can only progress forward, learning from the experiences of the past. But you cannot stay in the past and think the future is. You stay in the past, you have no future.
Right.
You progress to the present, your future is unveiled. So the moment your new person, your new girl, your new guy, your new person you want to marry, which is your present to attain your future, is now given to you. If you live in the past, you have no future. Because whatever you tell your past, they will bring you back to your past.
Pull you back.
They will pull you back to your past. Do you get it? Now, for a marriage setting, it's a safety net system which causes and delays a lot of progression in a marriage. Because you compare what you had with what you have in front of you. And it's easy to have an illusion, to fantasize about what could have been instead of what is. Because your person is in front of you. That is the reality. Sometimes you got to put in work. Nothing comes beautiful overnight. You got to put in work. But because you do not want to put in work, what do? You fantasize about what could have been with the other person instead of the reality that stands in front of you. So you are actually doing yourself a big disservice by having anything that pulls you back to the past. Now, I'm not going to ask why they became your ex, but whatever the circumstances was irreconcilable enough to prove that the two of you were ignorant. Why would you affect the new system with your ignorance of the past? It doesn't mean you're enemies with anybody. It just means don't put fire in your chest because love feelings are easily rekindled. I'll give you an example. If somebody has an ex, how can our conversations go like without ever talking about our sexual escapades?
The
Impossible.
good times we had.
Do you remember? Do you know how many people are married and still connected to an experience of an ex, not able to look at the reality of what they have? Whatever you had with your ex, in quotes, was ignorance. It was not based on love. Because you could not even allow love to hold it. You let go. What you have in front of you is what you got to pay attention to. And because we don't understand friendships, we don't understand love, we don't understand, elevations, dimensions, because we don't understand all these things, we just think everything is a vibe. It's a vibe. And that's just my friend, my boy best friend, my girl. Everything is cool. but not everything is beneficial. You have some permissibility to do whatever you want, but not everything gives you growth. Things are sometimes going to pull you backwards, and they are always things from the past. I hope it opens somebody's eyes.